Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Star Wars Review. Today is the monthly Star Wars recap for March 2026, which I'm once again late, as it's already halfway through April. Hopefully, April's get done at the end of the month instead of halfway through May. But, anyways, this month there was some more Mandalorian and Grogu news, along with some publishing stuff and some stuff on Maul, Shadow Lord, which is already out, so I won't talk about that too much. But obviously, the biggest stuff was The Mandalorian and Grogu, which last month's Empire magazine had a cover story on the movie revealing new images and details about the upcoming movie. Nothing super duper crazy, but had some interesting things. First, some of those images. There's one of Din and Colonel Ward together at the base on Adelphi. Adelphi? I'm forgetting what it's called. In that little bar hangout place. Then another one of Din riding what I think is an AT-RT on that snowy world we've seen several times in the trailers, where the Empire seems to be. But we also got a real first good look of Rada the Hutt, as there was an image of him, as he will be returning in this film, first appearing in the animated movie Star Wars The Clone Wars from 2008, which was directed by Dave Filoni. But in the movie, Rada will be voiced by Jeremy Allen White, most well known for his role in the TV show The Bear. In the magazine, they obviously interviewed White, and he does reveal that Rada does speak some Huttese in the film, but will mostly speak in basic. And White does say that he does, change his voice for the performance, but it seems like they'll most likely do some audio editing to make it have a, more, I guess, booming sound, like Jabba's voice, something similar to that. But Favreau also kind of talks about the character in the movie and compares him to the character of Adonis Creed in the Creed movies, which, were a follow-up to the Rocky movies. So, interested to see what they do with Rada. And seems like he'll probably be in the movie a decent bit, so yeah. But another image released was of Johnny Cones, Imperial Warlord character we first saw in The Mandalorian Season 3's Shadow Council scene, which the image shows him sitting in an arena, maybe the one we've seen several times in the trailers, but it does reveal something big because he has Grogu in a cage with him, but he's also sitting next to this Itachi, but it seems like he'll maybe capture Grogu at some point in this film. It's definitely interesting, wondering if he's trying to continue what Moff Gideon was doing. I don't know. But Favreau didn't reveal the name of the character, but said that people will get a kick out of it. But then Disney uploaded the image to Getty Images with captions, which reveals that the character might be named Lord Janu. So there is that. But the last trailer, revealed that Din's helmet will be removed in the movie. And so, they talked to Pedro Pascal about that. And you talked about how, that was something he was hoping would happen. And, when he was discussing the film with Favreau and that came up, he thought the reasoning was exactly what he wanted and felt that it made sense for the character with what was developed in the 3 seasons of the show. But they also mentioned that Pascal himself will be doing more physical stuff without the helmet. As in the trailer, it seems like he's doing some action scenes without it on, so I just assume more stuff there. Obviously, they do mention that, it will be Pascal in the suit more in this movie. Obviously, I don't know how actually true that is, but I think season 3. I don't know if he actually did any of it, just did the voice, so maybe similar to season 1 and 2 where he did more of it, but not most of it. But I don't know. But other than that, they had some behind the scenes photos, mainly just where Favreau's in the background directing. But Favreau also talks about having, a movie now and how they had to build bigger sets. And so they definitely relied more on having big sets and a lot more puppets and all that. Where, in the TV show, they relied on using the volume and more green screen stuff. For the movie, they actually built up a bunch of more sets and all that. So, that's cool to hear about all that. And I would have expected it because this is a movie. Though I do think I don't know if the budget's been exactly reported, but from what I heard, it's under 200 million. So it's not a super crazy expensive blockbuster, but I think the Mandalorian they made those on smaller budgets compared to some of the other Star Wars and Marvel Disney Plus shows. So makes sense that they would get this movie in at a smaller-ish budget, but obviously it's probably a good thing because there's some movies in the past couple years will just have these 300-400 million dollar budgets and make about $400 million at the box office, but because it costs so much, it ends up technically being a box office bomb, even though it still made okay-ish money. Obviously, just Hollywood money, obviously, because in the late 2010s, every movie, big blockbuster, especially Disney movies, were doing a billion. So, obviously now that's not what's happening. So, obviously some of these movies do need to lower their budgets a bit. But anyways, that was pretty much everything the Empire magazine talked about. Nothing super crazy. Still don't really fully know what the movie's gonna be really about, other than that Din and Grogu are hunting down Imperials and that the Hutts are involved. But unrelated to the magazine, the writing credits for the movie were added to the Writer Guild website, revealing that the movie is written by Favreau, Filoni, and Noah Clore, which Clore co-wrote an episode in season 3 of The Mandalorian and was a staff writer on at least, I think, the Book of Boba Fett. I think he might have been for seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian as well. So yeah, obviously, nothing crazy there. Those are pretty much, Favreau and Filoni were the main writers for the TV show, so it makes sense that they would write this one. And, obviously Favreau is directing the movie. I think also the Empire magazine mentioned that Filoni directed the second unit stuff, so, obviously don't know how much he did with second unit. So, it is kind of interesting that he did the second unit stuff. But yeah. Anyways, that's everything Mandalorian and Grogu related. What was revealed in the month of March. But moving on to some new releases from the month of March 2026. There was a couple new comics. First, Shadow of Maul, issue 1, which I thought was a good issue. I'll have a review of that either already out or sometime soon. I don't know. But there was also Hyperspace Stories, The Bad Batch, Rogue Agents, issue 2, which I didn't read. And then the new graphic novel, Hyperspace Stories, Grievous, which I also didn't read. And then the High Republic Adventures Pathfinders issue 1, the start of a new miniseries, but takes place after the High Republic Phase 2, which I also haven't read. But that was everything what came out in the month of March. So with that, let's jump back into the news, starting off with some publishing stuff. as the cover for the second novel in the Reign of the Empire trilogy, titled Edge of the Abyss, was revealed, which the cover shows Saw Gerrera in the center with stormtroopers surrounding him, but and there's kind of a light on Saw Gerrera, but we see some other characters with lights on them, which include Mon Mothma, Bail Organa with Leia, but also a few characters from Andor, like Luthen Rael, and also Anton Krieger, who wasn't really a character from Andor, only just mentioned, and then we see a hologram of him. But it seems like a few other characters from Andor will also appear in the novel, as the story will head to the planet Gorman, where, obviously season 2 of Andor, the world of Gorman was pretty central to that season's story. But this novel will take place a year before the events of Andor season 1, so setting it in 6 BBY, I think. But there is a description which says, in this thrilling sequel to The Mask of Fear, set 1 year before season 1 of Andor, truth becomes a weapon of the Empire. Over a decade into the Empire's reign, life under Imperial rule has become routine. The days of the Republic have long passed into memory, if they are remembered at all. Within the Senate, Mon Mothma and Bail Organa face dwindling influence, for there is no difference between the will of the Emperor and the direction of his empire. Bail increasingly shifts his focus to support clandestine resistance efforts, knowing a successful fight against the Empire will come from beyond the halls of power. Meanwhile, Mon Mothma sees one chance to take a stand, when she makes a horrifying discovery about the lengths the regime will go to weaponize truth and loyalty. The Empire's newest target? The next generation raised under the Emperor's ever-deepening shadow, including Mon and Bael's daughters. Across the galaxy, desperate rebel factions are rendered outcasts, branded criminals, and pitted against each other. On Gorman, an idealistic student group seeks to make meaningful change, unaware of the ISB agent who seeks to sabotage them from the inside. Leaders like Saw Gerrera and Anton Krieger squabble and bargain to survive one more day against the crush of the Imperial might. Trust is rare, and betrayal quick. A distracted, disorganized resistance is one that is easy to snuff out. There are few heroes and no alliances. When one of Guerrera's partisans is captured by the Empire, time is running out for senators, outcasts, spies, and all of those that desire a better tomorrow. What the prisoner knows could help the Empire eradicate any whisper of resistance, end any rebellion before it can truly begin, ensure that the Empire's truth is all the galaxy will ever know. So yeah, I didn't get around to reading the first one, so I'll definitely try to read that one before this one comes out, which didn't write down the release date, but I'm pretty sure it's September 15th, 2026. But definitely interested to see how it, ties in more to Andor. And obviously the third novel, I would assume, probably takes place, during season 2 of Andor. So, we could possibly see, Cassian in the third novel. But moving on to some comic news, the June 2026 Marvel comics were revealed, which there are going to be 3 new issues releasing in June. First is Shadow of Maul, issue 4, written by Benjamin Percy, with art by Madbek Musabekov, which comes out June 10th, 2026, which the description says, Blood Gamble, the Star Gauntlet, a deadly pod race that takes place in the streets of Janix, draws thousands of spectators and gamblers from all over the galaxy. Fortunes are won and lost, and so are lives. In the midst of all this chaos, Lawson uncovers a gambling conspiracy and casino heist that puts him on an unavoidable collision course with Maul himself. Then, Galaxy's Edge, Echoes of the Empire, Issue 3, written by Ethan Sachs with art by Jethro Morales and Roy Mercado, which comes out June 24th, 2026, which the description says, Invasion of Batu. Darth Vader takes on a droid fighting force. But will the epic battle give Luke, Leia, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2-D2 a chance to escape the Imperials? Meanwhile, Oga makes her move against the Syndicate running Black Spire Outpost. And finally, Rogue One Jyn Erso one-shot, written by Ethan Sachs with art by Raymond Rosanes, which comes out June 3rd, 2026, which the description says, A prisoner of the Empire, a chance at hope. On the toxic Wobani fields, Jyn Erso's brutal routine shatters when an unlikely crew begs the infamous slicer, Lyanna Halleck, to help pull off an impossible escape. Can Jyn outwit Imperial security droids, tower cannons, and incinerators long enough to crack the code and keep a frightened young prisoner alive? Will a leap of faith heal old scars from Galen, Liara, and Saw? Or will Wobani claim Jin's future before the rebellion ever can? But finally, there was also a new trailer for Maul Shadow Lord. But because the series has already started, I'm not going to talk about it too much. And with this being the final story, I also revealed the episode titles and whatnot. And so I'm just going to kind of combine it. First, all these episodes, obviously, some of these are already out. Chapter 1, The Dark Revenge. Chapter 2, Sinister Schemes, came out on the 6th. And then Chapter 3, Whispers in the Unknown. Chapter 4, Pride and Vengeance, comes out on the 13th. And then Chapter 5, Inquisition. And Chapter 6, Night of the Hunted, come out on the 20th. Then Chapter 7, Call to the Oblivion. And Chapter 8, The Creeping Fear, come out on the 27th. But then, not this month, but next month on May 4th. Chapter 9, Strange Allies, and Chapter 10, Finale, will release. And so that's the release schedule and titles for Maul Shadow Lord. But April is mainly going to be Maul Shadow Lord, as the only other things coming out are 2 new Marvel comics. Shadow of Maul issue 2, which came out on April 8th, so already out. And then Galaxy's Edge, Echoes of the Empire, issue 1, which comes out April 22nd, 2026. And so that's everything coming out in April, and that's all the news from March. And so that's going to be it for this month's monthly Star Wars recap. I will return, hopefully actually at the end of April, very beginning of May, for the April recap. But in the meantime, check out my trailer breakdowns, reviews, and everything else I do. But in Star Wars review. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.
He is associated with several criminal organizations. And proficient with a laser sword.
The Empire tried to kill me.